Hey Aries, happy 2020 and happy new year. I have taken a little hiatus from making videos, but I wanted to kick the year off with an overall 2020 outlook reading. So we'll be looking at 3 areas of your life in this reading, and at the end of the reading, I am going to read to you from the booklet. And it will be an animal spirit that you could potentially work with this year to help you navigate some of the things that we end up seeing in this reading, okay? This first row are going to be the general energies and the general themes of your year. This second row will be about work and career, and this third row will be about love and relationships, all right? So let's get in here. This is for Aries, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs, if I didn't say that. This is the Seven of Cups, the King of Swords, and the Nine of Swords. Seems to me like you are going to need to do some serious strategizing around how to narrow down and get to the heart of what's actually important. I think you may have a lot of potential either opportunities or people or just things, and you might be very distracted because some of them look very interesting and some of them make you super curious, and others are just like, oh, that looks like a really solid positive direction to go. And because there are so many, you're kind of in this place where it's like you don't know which way to go with any of them, and it's creating some anxiety for you. All right. And so with the swords, we're always talking about, we're often talking about mental type of energy. And the King of Swords is a very detached and calculating, and this is a great card because when you play chess, you strategize, right? And so I think the suggestion here is that you need to kind of dig deep and find your inner King of Swords so that you can really learn how to discern, right? You need to find strategies on how to unveil the bullshit and find the actual good stuff in all of these options. And these are general themes. So this could be relationships, this could be work, it could be friendships, it could be any number of things, right? So I think the suggestion here is to really utilize some logic, utilize some strategy in order to find the things that are most important to you this year, because it seems like you may be potentially led down some, I don't want to say false roads, but there may be some temptations for you in this coming year. And so you may need to kind of tap on your inner King of Swords in order to navigate those circumstances if and when they arise, because I think there's a potential here for some of these cups, I think, can lead you to this place of anxiety and stress. And so using this discernment may help you avoid this energy. All right. So if this is resonating for you, maybe check back in with this reading too in a few, maybe halfway through the year, sometime this summer, to see if any of this Seven of Cups energy has started to manifest for you, where it's just so many shiny, beautiful opportunities and things. And you may be very well led astray a couple of times this year, and that's okay, right? It happens to all of us. So maybe, remind yourself, remember this reading, and if you find yourself in this type of situation, it's like, shit, like, why did I choose that? Now I'm stressed out, now I'm sad, now I'm, whatever the negative thing is, I could have used better discernment, and I will use better discernment next time. I won't make that same mistake again. So I think that's the suggestion here is, Aries, is to be mindful of that, to not repeat mistakes. I'm also getting that type of idea, like learning how to really be more mindful about what you're choosing so that you're not repeating mistakes and then beating yourself up about them. Okay, let's take a look at your work and career energy. The Queen of Cups, the Five of Wands, and the Ten of Cups. Interesting. I'm getting I'm getting a very torn type of feeling here when it comes to like the work and career. Aries, you may be in a situation in 2020 where you are really struggling to balance like work life type of thing. So like home and work. So you may be facing that challenge throughout this year. You may have already been experiencing it. If you've already been experiencing it, right? And so it's something that you're already aware of, and you're like watching this video going, "Duh, I know that already." You know, it's like, so then the suggestion here would be obvious, which is to really, you know, this is Mars energy, which may not make sense to a lot of people, but this decan is represented by Mars in Pisces. And so the idea here with Mars is that you have the drive and the motivation to succeed, to have this happy place, right? Is it going to be easy? No. Are you going to have to work at it? Yes. Are you going to have to shuffle things around and potentially step on a few toes? Probably yes, right? But I think the suggestion here is to really tap into your heart space and see what your heart needs, right? Sometimes we get so wrapped up in the day to day, having to pay the bills, you know, got kids, we need to feed them, we need to send them to school, we need to pay the car, we need to, right? All the stuff with work, we tend to let the family stuff go, and we tend to not listen to our heart space. We tend to end up in our head being very logical about it because we need to pay the mortgage and we need to do this and we need to do that, right? And so this ends up suffering this happy place. So I think the suggestion here is to, you know, find the drive and the motivation to continue to make this a priority. And I think that that comes from tapping into your heart space. But I do see this struggle between what you genuinely want, so like what your heart wants, and what your head is probably driving you to do with work. Work may be very challenging this coming year. So if this is something you're not experiencing, I think a lot of you may find this coming year that work is going to add some additional challenges for you. You might get some new employees or team members in. And so you're going to have to kind of reshuffle energies a little bit. You know, the person that comes in might be a young, you know, little whippersnapper or something. And you're like, yo, hold up. You know, I've been doing this for 20 years, whatever the case is, right? Like it might be that kind of shuffling that needs to happen. It could potentially be just maybe somebody leaves, you know, maybe somebody on your team unexpectedly leaves, and now you're having to start doing things that you hadn't done before, right? Which means developing new relationships and learning how to reposition yourself within the group, or maybe supporting a new business, or whatever the case is, whatever type of work you do. I see some challenges these are not insurmountable, right? These are definitely surmountable challenges. And I think the key to surmounting them in 2020 is to tap on this combination of this Mars energy and this heart energy, to find the drive and the motivation to make sure that you have balance between these aspects of your life, your home and your heart, and work. All right, so I think that is the main idea for you to consider, Aries, for this coming year, okay? So let's take a look at your relationships. 7 of Coins, 10 of Arrows, and the Princess of Arrows, otherwise known as the Page of Swords. All right, so for those of you that are not in relationship, and so that might be part of what was going on here is, maybe because of work, you haven't been able to find this. And so you've been neglecting your heart, right? So because for those of you that are not currently in relationship, I see this idea of stagnation, this idea of endings, and this idea of trying to get to some kind of new beginning and truth surrounding relationships. So maybe in the past, you felt betrayed. Maybe in the past, you betrayed. I don't know, who did the betraying, but somewhere something ended, and there may have been an idea around the ending that had to deal with either the relationship getting stuck for whatever reason. Suggestion here is communication and truth as a potential reason for why the relationship got into a stuck place. Another thing would be just maybe too much of what we talked about up here, like too much pushing to work extra hours to get extra money to pay the this and to pay the that, like too much of that type of energy put a strain and caused the relationship to enter in this this stagnant type of energy, because we have no cups here, right? So we weren't working in the heart space, we were working logically, and the relationship got, it just got stuck. And we may have had big aspirations for this relationship that ended, but it kind of got stuck in the 7 of Coins energy. It never really fully flourished or manifested or bloomed, I should say. It never really fully bloomed. All right, and so that's for those of you who are not in relationship at this point in time, but I see probably an ending. And it doesn't necessarily have to be harsh. Sometimes the 10 of Swords can indicate a harsh type of ending, but it doesn't necessarily have to. 10 of Swords often isn't pleasant, I'll say that. So for those of you that are in relationship, the relationship is in a stagnant type of place, most likely, or it might enter into, right? So there's the potential to have this relationship enter into kind of a stuck type of energy, because there might just be too much emphasis on another aspect of the life and not enough time spent balancing and in the heart space. I am really getting that the work and relationship, there's some kind of linkage. For you, Aries, for the ones that I'm tapped into, there's some kind of linkage between relationship and work here for you in 2020 that you're being encouraged to look at and to navigate. Maybe with a little bit more thoughtfulness, especially from the heart space, that you may have done in the past. So coming back up here, for some of you, you might have been too strategic, right? This is the King of Swords can sometimes be very cold and detached. So for some of you, you may have ended up in this stagnant type of relationship energy because maybe you were too King of Swords, right? So there's a balance to everything. This is a general reading, so take the message as it applies. But there's kind of overall theme here is there needs to be some more discernment around kind of priorities. And now we're at Cups again, priorities in terms of our what's important to us. I think tapping into heart energy to help you figure out and find the drive and the motivation to have the relationship and the life that you want. And for most of you, I think any stagnation that you may be experiencing in the relationship department could very well be tied to the amount of time you spend on work, or energy that you're putting outside of finding a relationship. Let's just say it that way. Okay? So let's take a look at your animal spirit message for the year. You have giraffe spirit, see the big picture. So let's read from the booklet and see if there are any messages here that you can use throughout the year. All right, so giraffe spirit says, giraffes stretch upward to reach the treetops and look down from a high vantage point. When giraffe spirit appears, it is a sign to observe from a higher view. In all aspects of your life, it's time to stretch your neck out and broaden your view. Open your eyes to what others need or are experiencing and see the big picture you fit into. Big picture, right? When we play chess, we kind of need to think multiple steps ahead, right? No matter how great your wisdom, knowledge, or experience, you don't want to overlook details and connections that will help you better understand yourself and your circumstances. So stretch yourself. Look beyond what catches your attention at eye level and know that not everything is as obvious as you might like it to be. Spirit will bestow upon you a new perspective that might make all the difference. I also want to read to you the protection message. I'm not reading reversals in any of the decks today, and the protection message is intended if this card came upside down, but the way that these messages are worded, I think sometimes it may have value and may resonate with you in a different way, so I'm going to read that to you as well. So the protection message is, are you sticking your neck out too far? Reaching too high instead of looking around you to see conditions on the ground? Your devotion to co-creating something new is admirable, but giraffe spirit is showing up to remind you that you have to look at the whole picture, not just those tasty leaves at the top of the tree. Perspective is necessary now and means checking in with what is going on around you and at your feet. Or perhaps you are ruminating over the worries of the world instead of paying attention to what you can do right now, where you are, to bring about the changes you would like to see. Align with your highest good and know that while perspective is important, transformation begins where you are. Do not get up. Let me read that again. Do not get so far up in the clouds thinking about all the big problems that you lose perspective and forget to do your part. Holy cow, that's a great description of this right here. So for some of you, that may very well be the message. I'm going to read that again. Do not get so far up in the clouds thinking about all the big problems that you lose perspective and forget to do your part, however small it may be, to start enacting change, for transformation begins with you. That's really amazing, Aries. I hope that you found those messages helpful and insightful, and that you might choose to come back at some point later this year and rewatch this to see if any of this can be helpful for you later in the year as well, okay? I wish you the best. Take care, and I'll see you soon.